Hello, good people. How are you? This is Veronica. I'm grateful that you are here checking out my channel. I thank you so much. In this channel, we walk through the Bible, and yes, we walk through the Bible. So if you love such kind of videos, just hit subscribe button, notification bell for all the for all the videos, so that we can walk through the Bible together. Thank you so much. And today in this video we are going to walk through the book of 1 Samuel chapter 10, 11, 13 and 15. Yes, Saul anointed as king and Saul rejected as king over Israel. We'll be traveling through Jordan Valley. Jordan Valley is mentioned so many times in the Bible. So as we travel through the Jordan Valley, we are going to read some of the scriptures that are mentioned, that are connected with Jordan Valley. And so thank you so much, good people. So we are heading to Gilgal, where King Saul was anointed as king over Israel, and he was also rejected as king over Israel. What were the sins of King Saul for him to be rejected by God as the king? There were two sins that King Saul did. He was commanded by God through prophet Samuel to go and destroy all the Amalekites, but he did not do that. He destroyed, but brought back the fattened sheep and cattle, and he brought back King Agag with him. The second sin that he did was to sacrifice. The same place that King Saul was anointed as king, it was the same place that he was rejected as king over Israel. So guys, thank you so much, and let's go as we read the Bible live. Yes, from where it was written. Thank you so much. It's Veronica. God bless you. We are traveling through the Jordan Valley, or the plains of Jericho. We are going to read some verses as we travel through this valley. Joshua chapter 4 verse 19. And the people came up out of Jordan on the 10th day of the first month, and encamped in Gilgal, in the east border of Jericho. Joshua chapter 5 verse 10. And the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal, and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even in the plains of Jericho. Joshua chapter 16 verse 1. And the lots of the children of Joseph fell from Jordan by Jericho unto the water of Jericho on the east, to the wilderness that goeth up from Jericho throughout Mount Bethel. This is the wilderness that goes up from Jericho throughout Mount Bethel. Joshua chapter 18 verse 12. And their border on the north side was from Jordan, and the border went up to the side of Jericho on the north side, and went up through the mountains westward. And the goings out, therefore, were at the wilderness of Bethaven. All these verses from the book of Joshua, it's about the division of the land. Genesis chapter 13, it's about Abraham and Lot, their separation. We are going to read Genesis chapter 13, from verse 8. But you can read from verse 1 to see, to understand the whole situation, the whole story. So Abraham said to Lot, "Let's not have any other quarreling between you and me, or between your handers and mine, for we are close relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If you go to the right, I will go to the left." Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan, that is where we are traveling through, towards Zoar, was well watered. As you can see, although we are traveling through the wilderness, Judean deserts or wilderness of Judea, on the other side, because of River Jordan, the plains are very fertile. Let's go back to our reading. Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan towards Zoar was well watered, like the garden of the Lord. What is the garden of the Lord? So the plains of Jericho, these plains in this chapter of the Bible, Genesis 13, is compared to the garden of the Lord, or Eden, the garden of Eden, like the land of Egypt, where they came from. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out towards the east, where we are traveling through. So this is where Lot chose for himself, because it was fertile. The two men parted company. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tents near Sodom. 1 Samuel chapter 10. Then Samuel took a flask of olive oil and poured it on Saul's head and kissed him, saying, "Has not the Lord anointed you ruler over his inheritance? When you leave me today, you will meet two men near Rachel's tomb at Zelzah, on the border of Benjamin, that is on the border of Bethlehem and Jerusalem. Jerusalem was for the tribe of Benjamin, and Bethlehem the tribe of Judah. They will say to you, the donkeys you set out to look for have been found, and now your father has stopped thinking about them and is worried about you. He's asking, what shall I do about my son? Then you will go on from there until you reach the great tree of Tabal. 3 men going up to worship God at Bethel will meet you there. One will be carrying 3 young goats, another 3 loaves of bread, and another a skin of wine. They will greet you and offer you 2 loaves of bread, which you will accept from them. After that, you will go to Gibeah of God, where there is a Philistine outpost. As you approach the town, you will meet a procession of prophets coming down from the high place with lyres, with tambourines, pipes, and harps being played before them. They will be prophesying. The spirits of the Lord will come powerfully upon you, and you prophesy with them, and you'll be changed into a different person. Once these signs are fulfilled, do whatever your heart fights to do, for God is with you. Go down ahead of me to Gilgal. I will surely come down to you to sacrifice burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, but you must wait 7 days until I come to you and tell you what you are to do. Okay? Please note verse 8. Go down ahead of me to Gilgal. I will surely come down to you to sacrifice burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. That was the work of the priest. Verse 9. As Saul turned to leave Samuel, God changed Saul's heart. And all these signs were fulfilled that day. When he and his servants arrived at Gibeah, a procession of prophets met him. The Spirit of God came powerfully upon him, and he joined in their prophesying. When all those who had formerly known him saw him prophesying with the prophets, they asked each other, "What is this that happened to the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets?" A man who lived there answered, "And who is their father?" So it became a saying, "Is Saul also among the prophets?" After Saul stopped prophesying, he went to the high place. Now Saul's uncle asked him and his servants, "Where have you been?" "Looking for the donkeys," he said. "But when we saw they were not to be found, we went to Samuel." And Saul's uncle said, "Tell me what Samuel said to you." Saul replied, "He assured us that the donkeys had been found," but he did not tell his uncle what Samuel had said about the kingship. Samuel summoned the people of Israel to the Lord at Mizpah, and he said to them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought Israel up out of Egypt, and I delivered you from the power of Egypt and all the kingdoms that oppressed you. But you have now rejected your God, who saves you out of all your disasters and calamities. And you have said, 'No, appoint a king over us.' So now, present yourself before the Lord by your tribes and clans." When Samuel had all Israel come forward by tribes, the tribe of Benjamin was taken by Lot. Then he brought forward the tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan. The Matris clan was taken. Finally, Saul, king of Kish, was taken. But when they looked for him, he was not to be found. So they inquired further of the Lord, "Has the man come here yet?" And the Lord said, "Yes, he has hidden himself among the supplies. They ran and brought him out, and as he stood among the people, he was a head taller than any of the others. Samuel said to all the people, "Do you see the man? the Lord has chosen? There is no one like him among all the people. Then the people shouted, "Long live the king." Samuel explained to the people the rights and duties of kingship. He wrote them down on a scroll and deposited it before the Lord. Then Samuel dismissed the people to go to their own homes. Saul also went to his home in Gibeah, accompanied by valiant men whose hearts God had touched. But some scholars said, "How can this fellow save us?" They despised him and brought him no gifts, but Saul kept silence. 1 Samuel chapter 11. The first few verses from verse 1 to verse 11, it talks of Saul. Saul rescues the city of Jabesh Gilead. Please read that by yourself. We are going to start verse 12. Then the people then say to Samuel, "Who was it that asked, 'Shall Saul reign over us?' Turn these men over to us so that we may put them to death." Now they have seen that at the Jabesh Gilead, already Saul have won the battle. And now people have started seeing that now he's a great man that can fight for them. Verse 13, but Saul said, "No one will be put to death today, for this day the Lord has rescued Israel." Then Samuel said to the people, "Come, let us go to Gilgal, and there renew the kingship." So all the people went to Gilgal and made Saul king in the presence of the Lord. There they sacrificed fellowship offerings before the Lord. And Saul and all the Israelites held a great celebration. 1 Samuel chapter 13. Samuel rebukes Saul. Saul was 30 years old when he became king, and he reigned over Israel 42 years. Saul chose 3,000 men from Israel. 2,000 were with him at Michmash, and in the hill country of Bethel, and 1,000 were with Jonathan at Gibeah in Benjamin. The rest of the men he sent back to their homes. Jonathan attacked the Philistine outposts at Geba, and the Philistines heard about it. Then Saul had the trumpet blown throughout the land and said, "Let the Hebrews hear." So all Israel heard the news. Saul has attacked the Philistine outpost, and now Israel has become obnoxious to the Philistines. And the people were summoned to join Saul at Gilgal. The Philistines assembled to fight Israel with 3,000 chariots, 6,000 charioteers, and soldiers as numerous as the sand on the seashore. They went up and camped at Michmash, east of Beth-aven. When the Israelites saw that their situation was critical and that their army was hard pressed, they hid in caves and thickets among the rocks and in pits and cisterns. Some Hebrews even crossed the Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. Saul remained at Gilgal, and all the troops with him were quaking with fear. He waited 7 days, the time set by Samuel. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and Saul men began to scatter. So he said, "Bring me the burnt offering and fellowship offerings." And Saul offered up the burnt offering. Just as he finished making the offering, Samuel arrived, and Saul went out to greet him. "What have you done?" asked Samuel. Saul replied, "When I saw that the men were scattering, and that you did not come at the set time, and that the Philistines were assembling at Michmash, I thought, now the Philistines will come down against me at Gilgal. I have not sought the Lord's favor, so I felt compelled to offer the burnt offering." "You have done a foolish thing," Samuel said. "You have not kept the command the Lord your God gave you. If you had, he would have established your kingdom over Israel for all time. But now your kingdom will not endure. The Lord has sought out a man after his own heart and appointed him ruler of his people, because you have not kept the Lord's command." Then Samuel left Gilgal and went up to Gibeah in Benjamin. And Saul counted the men who were with him. They numbered about 600. Guys, welcome to Gilgal. Wow. Connecting people to God. Wow. Trippers.
Okay, kaway, kaway.
That is Jordan Valley. And behind there, the mountains that you can see, or the ledges, they are the mountains of Gilead. 1 Samuel chapter 15. The Lord rejects Saul as king. Samuel said to Saul, "I'm the one the Lord sent to anoint you king over his people, Israel. So listen now to the message from the Lord. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I will punish the Amalekites for what they did to Israel when they waylaid them as they came up from Egypt. Now go and attack the Amalekites and totally destroy all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys." So Saul summoned the men and mustered them at Telaim, 200,000 foot soldiers, and 10,000 from Judah. Saul went to the city of Amalek and sent an ambush in the ravine. Then he said to the Kenites, "Leave the Amalekites, so that I do not destroy you along with them. For you showed kindness to all the Israelites when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites moved away from the Amalekites. Then Saul attacked the Amalekites all the way from Havilah to Shur, near the eastern border of Egypt. He took Agag, king of the Amalekites, alive, and all his people he totally destroyed with the sword. But Saul and the army spared Agag and the best of the sheep and cattle, the fat calves and lambs, everything that was good. This they were unwilling to destroy completely, but everything that was despised and weak they totally destroyed. Then the word of the Lord came to Samuel. I regret that I have made Saul king, because he has turned away from me and has not carried out my instructions. Samuel was angry, and he cried out to the Lord all that night. Early in the morning, Samuel got up and went to meet Saul, but he was told, "Saul has gone to Carmel. There he has set up a monument in his own honor and has turned and gone on down to Gilgal." When Samuel reached him, Saul said, "The Lord bless you. I have carried out the Lord's instructions." But Samuel said, "What then is the bleating of sheep in my ears? What is the lowing of cattle that I hear?" Saul answered, "The soldiers brought them from Amalekites. They spared the best of the sheep and cattle to sacrifice to the Lord your God, but we totally destroyed the rest." "Enough," Samuel said to Saul. Let me tell you what the Lord said to me last night." "Tell me," Saul replied. Samuel said, "Although you were once small in your own eyes, did you not become the head of the tribes of Israel? The Lord anointed you king over Israel, and he sent you on a mission, saying, 'Go and completely destroy those wicked people, the Amalekites. Wage war against them until you have wiped them out.' Why did you not obey the Lord? Why did you pounce on the platter and do evil in the eyes of the Lord?" "But I did obey the Lord," says Saul. "I went on the mission the Lord assigned me, and I completely destroyed the Amalekites, and brought back Agag, their king. The soldiers took sheep and cattle from the plunder, the best of what was devoted to God, in order to sacrifice them to the Lord your God at Gilgal. But Samuel replied, "Does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. For the rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king." Then Saul said to Samuel, "I have sinned. I violated the Lord's command and your instructions. I was afraid of the men, so I gave in to them. Now I beg you, forgive my sin and come back with me, so that I may worship the Lord." But Samuel said to him, "I will not go back with you. You have rejected the word of the Lord, and the Lord has rejected you as king over Israel." As Samuel turned to leave, Saul caught hold of the hem of his robe, and it tore. Samuel said to him, "The Lord has torn the kingdom of Israel from you today, and has given it to the one of your neighbors, to one better than you, to one of your neighbors," meaning David, because Saul belongs to the tribe of Benjamin, and David belongs to the tribe of Judah. So they were neighbors. He who is the glory of Israel does not lie or change his mind, for he is not a human being that he should change his mind. Saul replied, "I have sinned, but please honor me before the elders of my people and before Israel. Come back with me, so that I may worship the Lord your God." So Samuel went back with Saul, and Saul worshipped the Lord. Then Samuel said, "Bring me Agag, king of the Amalekites." Agag came to him in chains, and he thought, "Surely the bitterness of death is past." But Samuel said, As your sword has made women childless, so will your mother be childless among women." And Samuel put Agag to death before the Lord at Gilgal. Here, Samuel put Agag to death before the Lord. Then Samuel left to Ramah, but Saul went up to his home in Gibeah of Saul, and the Lord regretted that he had made Saul king over Israel.
Every time that they go out to other places, conquering the cities of the Canaanites, they always came back in this place. And finally, another significance of Gilgal. Could you still remember the first king of Israel?
Yes.
What is his name?
Saul.
Saul. You know what? Saul was anointed to become the first king of Israel here in Gilgal. You see? That's why this place is very significant.
Yeah.
The campground, the center of life of the Israelites is here. The center of worship is also here. That's why when they asked for a king for the first time, the anointing, the establishment of the first king of Israel happened also here, and in the very center of their life, here in Gilgal.
And it's here that the manna stopped.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, later on, when Saul is king, he made one of a tragic mistake in his life. that caused a very big trouble in his leadership as the first king of Israel. Where's that? Prophet Samuel, the great prophet in the Old Testament, told him, go in Gilgal and wait for me there. We can read that in 1 Samuel. Okay, let me check to you. 1 Samuel chapter 13, reading verse 13. And Samuel said to Saul, thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast not kept the commandment of the Lord thy God, which he commanded thee. For now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever. But now thy kingdom shall not continue. The Lord had sought a man after his own heart. And who is that? The man after God's own heart? That's David. And the Lord had commanded him to be captain over his people, because thou hast not kept that which the Lord commanded thee. Why? Because here in Gilgal, this is the place of worship of the Israelites in those days. And what did Saul done? He did a sacrifice unto the Lord, which is a responsibility intended only for the priest, which is Samuel. So, King Saul did the responsibility that is due for the priest, for Samuel. And because of that, God punished him. Your kingdom, your leadership as king in the land of Israel, which is supposed to be, will be forever, will be cut off, and it will be transferred to the man after God's own heart, and that's David. So, there is a verdict here to the leadership of King Saul. And from then on, nagkaroon na ng malaking problema si King Saul. And finally, mga kapatid, finally, last story, another interesting event mentioned by Veronica. You know, God is the God of provision. God is the God who provides. That's why we called him as Jehovah Jireh. You know what? From Mount Sinai, they traveled for 40 years. They have no time to plant tomatoes. They have no time to plant potatoes. They have no time to plant anything along the journey. And besides, that is a barren land. It's wilderness. So you know what God did unto the Israelites? For 40 years, God provided them manna in the morning. And God provided them quail as their meat. And when that ended, when they arrived here in Gilgal. So the last manna and the last quail they eaten happened here in Gilgal. So after that, they enjoy the fruit of the land. They tasted the first fruits of the land. And you know what is the first thing that they eat in this place?
Grapes?
No, corn.
Corn? Wow.
Mais.
Maize.
So now, mga kapatid, now you know what God said to Joshua? Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon shall be yours. That's why if you go up, if you can fly, like 10 meters, 20 meters from here going up there, you can see the shape of a footprint in this place. So from here, going there, it's like a footprint, okay? The heel, yung ankle, is on that end, okay? So this area is like a footprint of a man, symbolizing that God gave this land of Canaan to Joshua. He tread upon this land in those days. So, welcome to Gilgal, Masal Tov for the first group who ever came here in this place. Yala! Yala, picture na! Mag-video na kayo! Okay, Masal Tov. Hoy, groupie muna tayo dito! Huwag na kalimot! Group picture! Asan na yung banner natin? Banner!
I need
Hello,
to...
Veronica.
Yes, how are you? I need to go and see that food. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for your comments. And if I've not replied to your comments, I'm still coming. Please comment. Add more about Gilgal when you are commenting. Say something. The reproach of God removed the reproach of Egypt from the children of Israel at this place. Yes, Gilgal. I love you guys, and I'll see you again in a few days' time. From Gilgal, shalom, shalom, and God bless you. Who was Samuel? Samuel was a priest. He was a prophet. He was a judge. Thank you so much. From Gilgal, I love you so much. God bless you.